Thank you. A judge will decide today whether to lift anonymity orders protecting the identities of Brianna Ghey's teenage killers.
A 15-year-old boy and a 15-year-old girl are guilty of murdering the teenager. They are 16 now. The transgender girl was stabbed 28 times at a park in Cheshire in what was described as a ferocious attack. This is what Brianna's mother had to say.
Brianna was larger than life. She was funny, witty and fearless. We miss Brianna so much, and our house feels empty without her laughter. To know how scared my usually fearless child must have been when she was alone in that park with someone that she called her friend will haunt me forever.
So brave and courageous, Brianna Ghey's mother there. And what was also interesting was the way she said about sparing a thought for the families of the killers who are also suffering. What do you think? Too. Well, they are, in not the same way, but yes, they are. Andrew, what do you think? Should these teenage killers be named? This is an application, we should explain, that is made by the press because people of 15 and 16 that appear in Crown Court, as these individuals did, they are entitled to anonymity unless an application is made to lift that order, and that is what the judge is deciding on today.
So the judge will decide if it's in the public interest, and I would argue, quite simply, these children did not behave like teenagers, they behaved like savages. Savages. Planned, we've seen the detail, planned with meticulous detail. They lured that young girl into a wood. She thought she was with friends. It is shocking what happened to her, and I'm afraid the courts don't do this very often, but they should in this case. They should name them. 28 times Brianna was stabbed with that hunting knife. The court heard that her killers had a thirst for killing. Now, this has happened before. It doesn't happen very often that judges lift these orders, but it has happened. The Bolger killers were named, Thompson and Venables, although when they left court, when they left prison, they were given new identities. And it's something called the Mary Bell defence. Mary Bell was a child killer many, many years ago. She killed when she was 12. And so that is the argument that you protect somebody under the age of 18. But I think in this case, it's got to be lifted. What about the view that these people will be at risk in prison? Well, hopefully. Well, tough luck. They should have thought about that before they savagely murdered this child. A 16-year-old child who had all bravely faced up to all sorts of issues in her life with it being a trans child. It's one of the most harrowing stories I've read in a very long time. And she thought these individuals were her friends. These murderers were her friends. Yeah, and she was betrayed brutally, and I'm sorry, and in rare occasions, you've got to change it. They've got to be named and shamed. Let's bring in your mate, the associate editor of the Daily Mirror, Kevin Maguire. I call him a mate.
What, the accused then?
Yeah, that's Kevin and I go back many, many years. We started in Parliament around the same time. I think 1988.
It was, yeah.
He was in the Press Association, I was the Times. We were in the gallery reporting proceedings from Parliament in the days when people cared what went on in Parliament. We used to have a broadsheet page a day in the Times from Parliament, and we've known each other for a long time. Anyway, Kevin always disagrees with me, and I suspect he's about to disagree with me now.
Yeah, well, you're rarely right, except politically.
Right.
You're either right but not right. The Mary Bell case was given her a new identity when she came out, same as Venable Thompson's, the Bulger killers, because they're afraid people will light torches and go around with pitchforks and attack them. In this case, right, the criminal law responsibility in England and Wales is 10, 12 in Scotland, which is why they could be tried. They were 15 at the time. Normally, if you're under 18, you are not named. That's the decision. I tend to favour open justice and naming them, but I do wonder what we would gain from that, because I've read the papers, watched TV, listened to the radio, gone on the net. Is there anything we do not know?
Why should they have that protection after what they've done?
Oh, it's because you've got to try and rehabilitate them.
You do.
Locally, everybody will know who they were because they were in a school. All of a sudden, you vanish from a class. Local communities in Cheshire will be all too well aware of them. In fact, if you look at certain areas on the internet, you can find out who they are. I don't advise people to name them on social media because you would be in contempt of court at the moment. You should have quite serious...
But that is a real problem these days as well, because they can easily be named on
X,
on the internet already. On Facebook, right.
It's already in the...
So that creates another layer of complication.
Of course, rehabilitation is important. It's a very important part of prison. But prison is also about punishment, Kevin, and these people have to face up to the consequences. They were nearly 16 when they carried out these offences. When you're 16, you can join the military forces. You can do all... You can get married with parental permission. They're almost young adults, and I think they have to be held to... And we may learn more about them. Perhaps it will tell us more about their family life. What was going on in their sick minds that they planned this murder with such meticulous detail?
And Pip, as you said, the mother is inspiring. Brianna's mother is inspiring. She said, look, feel compassion and empathy for the families, the parents of these two murderers, because they've they've lost their children. And she said the two 15-year-olds, as they were then, showed no remorse.
No remorse at all when the verdict came.
What about the risk that lifting this cloak of anonymity will bring to the murderers' families?
Well, as I say, Kevin made the point.
Safety.
Locally, it's known anyway. But these are consequences, I'm afraid, that you have. These are consequences of what these monsters did. They are monsters. Let's not call them.
But do their families deserve?
I'm sorry, they raised them. They're the parents, and the thing is, they are known locally already, so people do know. And we've had this before, where lynch mobs turn up, and nobody's advocating that.
Yeah, but they will be known locally.
They are already.
That is in Cheshire. They will.
It's an open secret.
Now, the judge will have to decide whether there is an overriding public interest in naming, rather than just being interested in the public.
Let's just explore that. We talk about overriding...
But also the other thing, when they go into prison, every prisoner will know what they've done. So they won't give them any protection in prison by them not being named. But
when we talk about public interest, does the public interest override the interests of defendants? What exactly is the public interest here? What is gained from us knowing who these individuals are?
I think the public interest is served because this is shocked the nation, this crime. Absolutely shocked the nation in the way the Bolger killers shocked the nation. And I think the ferocity and brutality, nobody's going to compare like with like. I think we're entitled to know, and we're entitled to perhaps see what we can learn from it. You can learn more if you know who they are than if they're hiding behind a wall of anonymity.
You see, I go with Pip, what is the overriding public interest? And I'm trying to play it out in my own head, because I would like to see pictures of them. I would like to know everything about them.